All right. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hope you guys had a great morning, a great start to your week. All right, let's go ahead. We'll get started in a child's pose. So we're going to do a little upper back stretch. Oh, to start. Okay, so you can bring those toes together, bring those knees out pretty wide, so almost mat distance apart. So we're going to start out with, well, for some of you, it might not be a big stretch. And for some of you, it might be. It's a really big stretch for me, but we're going to walk those arms forward. Okay, let the chest kind of melt between those legs. We're going to flip those palms up. Okay, so maybe you just stay here. Okay, take a couple of breaths. You'll feel that stretch kind of the triceps and the kind of underneath the armpits a little bit and into those lats. So down by the sides. Okay, so we can stay here, or maybe we start to bend those elbows. Let's walk those elbows forward a little bit more, relaxing that chest down. Let's stay here for a couple breaths, feeling so if the elbows are bent and your hands are kind of in between the shoulder blades. That's where we want to feel that stretch. We want to think that that's kind of melting towards the mat. We're feeling that opening through that upper back. So if we sit at our computers all day, that gets really rounded forward. So this helps to kind of open it up. That stretch in that opposite direction. You might notice it's really, really tight. That's okay. Couple more breaths. With that exhale, think about really pulling that chest down towards the mat. As that rib cage collapses, you'll get more of that stretch through that upper back. Let's go one more breath. And then we'll re-straighten those arms out. Lift up a little bit, walking those hands. You can even come off of the mat with those hands. Walk the hands over to that right side. And then again, resting that head down onto the mat, or maybe you can use those arms to support the head. A little bit of bigger reach through that left arm, pressing that left hip back to that left heel. So we're going to feel that stretch all along that left side. And let's walk the hands center. And then we'll go over to that left side. So big reach through that right arm this time. Press that right hip back. And then walk those hands back to center. Let's come up onto hands and knees. You can slide those knees so they're underneath the shoulders. Let's do just one round of cat cow. So starting with that cow, we're going to drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone. Think, pull those shoulders down and away, lifting through that neck. And then we'll round that spine, draw that belly up, and then press the shoulder blades away from each other. And inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, round. I lied. We're going to do 2 rounds. Then inhale, bringing it back to that neutral spine. Go and step those feet back to our plank. Let's hold it here, but nice and warm through that core. Just pulls forward. Legs are really strong, pulling towards each other. Toes will pull towards the hands. Hands are pulling back to the toes. One more breath. And then let's send those hips up into that inverted V shape. So we're going to bend into that left knee, press that right heel down towards the mat. Big stretch through that calf, through that ankle. And then we'll switch, pressing that left heel down, right knee bends. And now bring it to neutral. So really press the tailbone up, pressing those heels down. And then let's walk those feet up to the hands. We can slide the hands up the shins, flattening out that back. And then we'll slide those hands down maybe a little bit further. Still try and keep that flat spine. And then now fold all the way down. So letting the head, the arms hang really heavy. You can give it a little gentle sway from side to side. And then bend into those knees. Flatten out that back. Let's come up to standing. Reach those arms up. We're going to grab on to our left wrist and then reach up and then over. Now adding in the foot, so even bigger stretch. Careful with that balance. We're going to step that left foot behind the right to keep that core tight. Press the hips over to the left as we reach and arc over to the right. Inhale, bring it back up. Let's switch sides. So we'll grab on to that right wrist first. Find that side bend to start. And then add in that foot. So hook that right foot behind the left. Hips to the right, arms to the left. Bring it back up. Again, release or uncross those feet. Draw those elbows down. Open up through that chest. We'll just stay in the field goal position for now. Inhale those arms back up. At exhale, pull the elbows down. Inhale it back up. Last time. Draw the elbows down. Inhale, send it back up. And exhale, fold it forward. Find that flat back. And then we'll plant those hands, stepping those feet back to our plank. Let's go ahead and lower it down to our stomachs. Point the toes, lift that chest up. So just a little bit to start. Ribcage stays down on the ground. Shoulders are pulling back. Maybe we lift those hands up. And then we can soften it back down. This time, let's press up even higher. So roll the shoulders down and back, lifting up. So if you can, maybe lift that stomach and the hips start to lift up off of the mat. Relaxing through those legs, pulling the shoulders down. Big extension through that low back. So again, this might be too much. It's okay. Listen to your body. And then from there, let's sit it back to a plank. Hold. And then we'll send those hips up into that down dog. So again, bend into that left knee, press that right heel down. And then we'll switch, bend into that right knee, left heel presses down. You can even flex that left quad a little bit more. Bring it neutral. Heels press down, tailbone presses up. And then we'll come onto the toes, stepping those feet up, top of the mat, slide the hands to the shins, flatten out that back. And exhale it down as we fold. Bend into those knees. Let's come up to standing. Reach those arms up. So now at the same time, we'll grab onto that left wrist, left leg slides behind the right. Ooh. Reach up and over. A little more balance involved in this side stretch. Bring it back up. Let's switch. So grab onto that right wrist. Right foot comes behind. And then side bend. Inhale, bring it back up, uncross, pull the elbows down. Inhale it up, draw it down. Inhale it up. Last time, draw the elbows down. Inhale, reach it up. And then reach down for the shins of the ankles, maybe the toes. Find that flat back. And then we'll plant those hands down. Go ahead and step it back to our plank. Lower down. One time, lift up. A little baby cobra first, lifting those hands up. Back down. Now we'll lift up even higher. And then we'll lift it to a plank. Hold for a few breaths. And then we'll send those hips up. Down dog. Now we're going to step that right foot to, that right thumb, pressing those hips forward. Keep that chest lifted, so try not to have that chest collapsing on your thigh, using the legs, that core to keep it lifted a little bit more. Now plant that left hand, twist right arm up. Lower the hands down. We're gonna walk over, lunge into that left knee. Holding, so maybe you reach, maybe it's hard to see, but you can lift those hands up. One more breath. And then again, we'll walk those hands back to the front, lower that back knee down, reach those arms up overhead, core is tight, tailbone scoops down, and then press those hips forward a little more. Now we'll lower those hands down. Go ahead and step it back to a plank, hold. Good, now hips up, down dog. Stepping that left foot to the left thumb. And we can be on those fingertips, just as barely hovering off of that thigh. Breathing. And we can plant that right hand twist. The left arm reaches up. Now lower that hand down. We're going to travel to that long edge of the mat, lunging into your right knee, that side lunge. And maybe lift those arms up. It's a little bit more challenging, so your hips will be a little bit lower. Keep that nice tall spine. And then we'll walk it back to the front of the mat into that lunge. Back knee down. Inhale those arms up. We're tight, pressing the hips forward and down. Relax those shoulders. One more breath. And let's lower those hands down. Step it back to our plank. Again, hold. And then send those hips up. Downward facing dog. Let's do that one more time, each side. Okay, let's step that right foot through and twist. Right arm reaches up. Lower the hand down. Walk it to that long edge of the mat. Side lunge into that left knee. And then we'll bring it back to the front. Lower that knee down, back knee down, inhaling those arms up. Press the hips forward. Low crescent lunge. And then we'll lower those hands down. Step it back to our plank. And then bring those hips up, down dog. Now let's step that left foot through to the left thumb. Okay, plant that right hand, twisting, left arm reaches up. Lower the hands down. Travel to that long edge of the mat, lunging into that right leg. And we'll bring it back to the front. Lower that knee down. Inhale those arms up. Keep that core tight. Press the hips forward. Now let's lower those hands down. Stepping it back to our plank. And then lower those knees down. Toes together. Knees can come a little bit wider. Press pressing those hips back to the heels, resting that head down. Let's come back onto hands and knees. Let's step it back to our plank, a little bit of core work here. And we'll finish off with some stretches. So in our plank position, nice and tight, through the legs, through the core, through those arms and fingers. Now let's step, barely touch that right leg over to the right side, back to center. Left toes touch over to the left and center. Okay, so we'll go 10 more, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Plank. Hips up, down dog. And then bring it back to our front plank. Let's just go mountain climber. So knee to the chest and back out. Okay, knee in and then back out. All right, here we go for 10. A little bit slower. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips up, down dog. And then bring it back to our plank. We'll just lift that leg straight up, using that glute to lift. Okay, so we're gonna go right leg first. We'll go 10 and switch left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hips up, down dog. Now let's step that right foot outside that right hand. Back knee lowers down. That knee can fall open a little bit more. Then twist that right arm reaches up. You really want a big stretch here. Bend into that back knee, reaching for that foot. Try and take that arch out of the back, so keep that core a little bit tighter. Open up, big twist, thumb up. So we're getting a stretch to the shoulder as well if we want that. We want to grab onto the foot. If this is way too much, you can keep the hands down. Maybe even go right into this lunge by lowering those forearms down. We're all going to meet there eventually. And then go ahead and release the hands down, the foot down, and then we can lower onto those forearms. And come back to the hands. Go ahead and straighten that front leg, half splits, pulling the right toes back, lengthen through that spine. And then rebend that knee, plant those hands, stepping it back to a down dog. And we'll go the other side, stepping that left foot outside that left hand. Back knee lowers down. Now we get an option to add in that quad stretch. So we'll twist, reaching that left arm up, start to bend that back knee, grab onto that foot. So again, if this is too much, you can always just lower that hand back down, go right into that regular lizard lunge stretch. And then we'll release that foot down. If you're not already there, go ahead and lower onto those forearms. Again, if forearms is too far away, just stay on those hands. Come back to those hands. Let's straighten that front leg. Pull those toes back. And then we'll bend into that knee. Plant those hands. Step it on back to that down dog. Let's go into that pigeon. So stretching out those outer hips. So we're going to bring that right knee to the right wrist. Foot slides across. Right leg. No, left leg. There we go. Sliding back. And then lower onto those forearms. A little more active. Pulling that right shin back. Left knee's pulling forward. And then bring it back onto those hands. We'll step it back into that down dog. And then just go right to the other side. So bring that left knee to the left wrist. Foot comes across. Right leg slides back. And then when you're ready, lower onto those forearms. Left shin back, right knee forward. And then come back to those hands. Send it back, down dog. And let's come to a seat. Legs crossed, sitting up nice and tall, closing down those eyes. Roll those shoulders down and back. Good, big breath in through the nose. Head out through the nose. Good, and let's blink those eyes open. All right, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. We do have an all levels flow this afternoon at 4:45, so hopefully you can make that. Otherwise, have a great day.